Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Sai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Sai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Sai. All praise unto Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Us brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity for the four corners of the earth. Okay, so this is going to be a quick, relatively quick hit type video. And this is dealing with the Great Depression 2.0 there, as they are quoting it. And pretty much what you're going to see from this article is we're headed into the next phase of economic collapse. And there's various factors that make up this economic collapse, okay? Artificial and natural. And what I mean by artificial is we know that the end all be all, the agenda is what you know as the RFID chip, okay, which we know from the scriptures as the mark of the beast. So you're gonna have certain things that are put in place to gear up that agenda to the purpose of fulfilling that agenda. Okay, and then you're also gonna have certain things that just happen as a consequence of naturally. Okay, but all things ultimately play into the hands of the Yahweh Shemi Shai. So the scripture says, can you do anything against this truth? No, man. Everything's gonna be done for this truth. Okay, that's why we say, you might have an earthquake somewhere, and it's by this harp system. But guess what? The Most High put it within their spirits to create the harp system. Okay, same thing with the economy. They got a certain economic tools in place to create an artificial recession, artificial inflation, and ultimately a crash of the markets. But ultimately, the Most High put it within their spirit to crash it, because they're crashing it, their own economic system, and the thoughts that they're gonna gain some kind of ultimate control out of it by way of what's known as the NWO, okay, the New World Order, okay. But ultimately, it's gonna be it plays into what the Most High has set up from the foundations of the earth, okay, that Esau was gonna rule the world, but Jacob was gonna rule that followeth. Okay, so they thinking they're controlling it now, and soon it's going to become more and more evident that they're not actually in control. Whether they've been double bluffed by the Most High, okay, whom the world calls God in Christ, who is the one that is crushing his kingdom ultimately. Because once you had this truth pumping out, okay, then you've seen all kind of efforts, okay, to move faster towards the setting up of Esau's empire of complete dominance and rule, okay, and it's become more and more difficult for him to false flag attacks, man. You could do false flag attacks 10 years ago and people would just blink over it. Now you can't do that. Okay, another thing that plays into that is the internet. The internet plays a major factor into that, because brothers be pushing the videos about this, and the truth will be brought out. Okay, so it says Great Depression 2.0. It says worst quarter to start for the U.S. Stocks since 1929. So, when they was checking out the stocks in the second quarter, which begins at around about April, okay, when they've been keeping the records, this is the worst start in April since the time of 1929. Okay, it says, and they give you the image of the unemployed man in a coat lying down. Okay, it says an American stocks was the worst start in April since the Great Depression. Okay, as Chinese retaliatory tariffs spooked investors in the world's largest economy, and just to expound upon that, you had got this what's known as a trade war happening between the US and China right now, which it is. Okay, they might say, oh, it's already begun. Okay, when China said they was going to sell petrol in yuan and back that yuan with gold, that was the beginning of a trade war. Okay, and the trade war is going to lead into a hot war, which is going to have Russia involved. Okay, and many other countries going into the World War III, which is also spoken about within the scriptures. The scripture says first war's past, second war, third war. It's all gonna be juicy, man. It's gonna be good. Okay, because in 3 woes, the Most High was going to return. The Most High was going to send His Son to return and redeem His people. Okay, so this is a part of the economy is a major part of kingdom crashing down. Okay, and once you see the trade war starting, like I'm talking about major trade wars, major trade war that's popping off. Not China and America. That's a major trade war. Okay, that's playing out. Okay, which is a beautiful thing because it's gonna mean a major retaliation. Because there comes a point where it's like, okay, we've put all the sanctions we can put on them. Okay, we put all the retaliatory measures that we can put on them. What are we gonna do now? Okay, and the next stage is always wars. Check out Gerald Salente's, hot wars come from, trade wars, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it says the SP 500 index fell 2.2% after trading session in the second quarter. This is only ever since, since 89. Okay, 89 years ago. And when it fell by 2.5% back then, okay, it was a sell-off triggered by the Great Depression and the worst economic crisis in the U.S. history. So they're saying that's, the last time that index has been that low. Okay, since the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged 1.9. Okay, while heavy NASDAQ Composite Index plummeted to 2.74%. I mean, these are just numbers. Okay, the main message is that the direction is going in, as far as we're concerned, as the men of the Lord, is the good direction. Okay, that's a good direction. Down is good for Esau, because Esau going down, okay, like a seesaw means Jacob's going up. Okay, that's how this thing has been set up. When Esau goes down, Jacob goes up. Jacob goes down, Esau goes up. That's how it's been set up. Okay. It says one of the largest companies on the NASCAR, Amazon, expected its losses following attacks on the firm by President Trump, shedding 5% of its value. Okay, and it's more complicated than just tech sell-offs. What's hurting everything is the SP went through its 200-day moving average. Okay, and it says Brian, director of trading performance trust Capital Partners in Chicago, has quoted by Reuters that attracts more momentum, right? Momentum sellers, and they don't care what fundamentals they are. The SP 500 is in a 10% correction, and it's a record high in late January. So, I mean, I don't really know what that's pretty much saying. Okay, but if we move on, it should come into some stuff that's a bit more easier to explain. So it says on Monday, China introduced additional tariffs of up to 25%. Okay, that's good. Okay, that means it makes it more difficult for American products to be sold in the Chinese market, which makes it more difficult for America as a whole to make money. But it's more complicated than that. Okay, it's a hell of a lot more complicated for the American economy than that, because remember, they sell war more than anything. Okay, so they sell missile systems and so on and so forth. But the major bit that makes them money is that petrodollar. That's why you're seeing, I mean, you might see the Chinese thing as a 25% tariff that they put on as some retaliatory measure, and that's gonna shake up the economy. No, what's gonna shake up the economy is the rejection of the dollar, and China is going to be pushing towards that, because remember, China is part of the BRICS nations, and China is heavily invested in a lot of countries. So if China is pushing their own currency in these different countries where they have invested heavily into, okay, for instance, a lot of African countries out there have had heavy influence from the Chinese, okay, to build themselves up. Okay, Nigeria, a lot of them countries, Ghana. I don't know about Ghana too much, but I know in Nigeria they got a lot of Chinese there. What currency do you think they're gonna be pushing? They're gonna be pushing that petrol yuan. Okay, and that's what's really gonna have things pushing forward hard. Okay, so I mean, pretty much you can read the rest of the article for yourself. Okay, most of it is pretty much self-explanatory. This was what released 3rd April, and today is the 4th, so yesterday. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say, all praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahshua Harakakadash, double honesty, apostles, a great millstone. Our ownership brothers will be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.